The Hand of Glory. Even the name whispers of forbidden knowledge and ancient shadows. This isn't just a grim relic from a horror story. It's a chilling piece of European folklore, a mythical artifact steeped in dark magic, gruesome preparation, and a very specific sinister purpose. For centuries, whispered tales and obscure texts described how a severed human hand taken from the gallows and prepared with macabre rituals could become a tool for thieves and necromancers, capable of paralyzing entire households and illuminating hidden paths in the dead of the night. So what precisely is this famous or infamous Hand of Glory? Picture, if you can, a human hand severed from the body of a man who met his end on the gallows. This isn't just any hand. It's a mummified, preserved limb, often shriveled and leathery. Its fingers, instead of grasping, are transformed into wicks, dipped in some unspeakable fat or sometimes a specially prepared oil and then lit, casting an eerie, flickering glow. According to the dark whispers of European folklore, this macabre artifact was forged for one purpose: to paralyze anyone it shone upon, allowing thieves to rob homes or witches to weave their darkest curses in undisturbed peace. The most unsettling detail? The light it cast was said to be visible only to the wielder and their designated companions, leaving everyone else in profound, impenetrable darkness. It's dark magic with a truly horrifying DIY twist, and it's as unsettling as it sounds. The making of a Hand of Glory, as detailed in various grimoires, which are ancient books of magic and spells, is pure nightmare fuel, a ritual steeped in the most taboo aspects of death and defilement. Legends insist that you must sever the left hand, or if the condemned was a murderer, the very hand that quote-unquote did the deed. The gruesome act had to occur while the body was still dangling from the gibbet, sometimes even specifying that it should be done under the sinister light of a lunar eclipse or when the planet Saturn, associated with death and decay, was in a particular astrological alignment. The belief was that the hand needed to retain some lingering energy or the final malevolent charge of its previous owner, making it a potent vessel for dark enchantment. Once removed, the hand would undergo a series of horrifying preservation steps, designed to imbue it with its terrifying magical properties. Various sources offer slightly different recipes, each more repugnant than the last, but one common method involves squeezing the severed hand until all the residual blood was drained. It would then be pickled in a concoction that might include salt, saltpeter, pepper, and bizarrely, sometimes even the urine of various animals, including human, dog, horse, and mare. The rationale behind such repulsive ingredients was rooted in sympathetic magic, using substances associated with death, decay, and primal functions to draw out and concentrate a dark binding power. After this pickling process, the hand had to be dried. Accounts vary, but it was suggested it could be sun-dried during the scorching dog days of summer, a period associated with intense heat and often bad luck, or carefully dried in an oven alongside potent magical herbs like fern, vervain, or mandrake root. This drying process was crucial to mummify the limb, rendering it rigid and able to hold its ghastly wicks. The wicks themselves? The legend demands a specific kind of fuel for this unholy illumination. The fingers were often trimmed or prepared to serve as individual candles. The wick itself might be made from the hair of the deceased or perhaps a carefully rolled piece of parchment. The fuel was the most disturbing. It was often specified to be rendered from the fat of the very same hanged man whose hand was used, sometimes mixed with virgin wax, sesame oil, or even animal fat derived from the tallow of a black cat. The idea was to maintain an unbroken, gruesome chain of association with the source of the hand, drawing power directly from the death it represented. Once this horrific candle was inserted into the mummified fist, or the fingers themselves were anointed and lit, the power of the Hand of Glory could be unleashed. Poof! Paralysis hits, doors unlock, and the night becomes the exclusive domain of the wielder. Ancient grimoires like the infamous Petit Albert, a popular 18th century compendium of magic and secrets and cautionary tales from 18th century France, spell out these chilling instructions in disturbing detail, providing a pseudo-scientific veneer to this dark art, though one hopes no one's crazy enough to test these gruesome instructions today. Or are they? This unsettling legend didn't simply materialize out of thin air. Its roots twist back centuries, drawing from a deep well of ancient superstition and primal fears surrounding death, punishment, and the lingering power of the departed. Some trace its conceptual lineage to medieval Europe, where hanged men dying outside the sanctity of consecrated ground, and often for grave sins, were seen as doubly cursed yet paradoxically charged with a potent liminal energy. The gallows themselves were considered powerful transitional spaces, a boundary between life and death, order and chaos, and anything associated with them, especially the body of the condemned, was believed to absorb this unique dark power. This idea is echoed in the slang use of hand of glory itself, sometimes punned as hand of gallows, hinting at its gruesome origins. Other threads of this macabre tapestry led to older magical traditions. We can see echoes in the Roman Manus Sinistra rites, where the left hand was often associated with ill omens, curses, and dark magic. Germanic folklore, too, held beliefs in the lingering, often malevolent energies of the dead, particularly those who died violently or under unusual circumstances. The concept of the dead man's hand appears in various cultures, often associated with luck, whether it's good or bad, or the ability to influence the living. The paralysis-inducing aspect of the hand of glory might echo ancient sleep charms, or even the petrifying gaze found in classical mythology, like the Gorgon Medusa, or the deathly chill attributed to figures like the Norse Draugr, which is a revenant from Viking folklore that could bring paralysis or dread upon the living. The eerie, self-sustaining illumination of the hand ties into the older folklore about corpse lights, ghostly flickering lights or will-o'-the-wisps, guiding the wicked or signaling death. It's a grisly stew of pagan superstition, Christian fears of the unholy dead, and a dash of rudimentary, and often misunderstood, alchemy, all simmering together in the cauldron of folk magic. Why specifically a hanged man? And why this particular set of powers? The gallows were potent symbols of state power and divine judgment, places where life and death clashed violently. The condemned's final breath, their struggles, their perceived sins, all were believed to infuse the body with a unique supernatural charge. For thieves, the hand of glory became the ultimate tool to overcome the defenses of any home. Tales from 18th century England, particularly in regions like Yorkshire, describe chilling accounts of burglars using these hands to effectively neutralize entire households. The legend served as a terrifying warning to householders, a real-life boogeyman that could slip past locks and guard dogs, paralyzing even the bravest. Witches also allegedly wielded it for their darkest rituals. Its eerie glow could be a beacon for unseen forces, a way to focus malevolent energy, or a tool to ensure secrecy and control during complex spells. The catch, or moral paradox associated with its power, added another layer of sinister irony. Some legends claimed it only worked if the victim was a true criminal, or if those within the house were unworthy. This created a twisted moral compass where the perpetrator of a grave act, the theft, could only succeed if their victims were somehow deserving of paralysis, or if the hand itself deemed them so, a dark justification for a heinous crime. It's truly dark magic with a morally bankrupt philosophy at its core. This grisly tale, far from staying buried in forgotten grimoires, clawed its way into the popular imagination and has left an indelible mark on culture, proving its enduring power to terrify and fascinate. The Hand of Glory's shadow stretches long and wide across European folklore and into modern storytelling. In 18th century Europe, this was no mere campfire tale, it was a genuine fear, particularly for isolated rural communities. The idea of a thief armed with such a horrifying magical tool was a deeply unsettling thought. Stories from regions like Yorkshire and parts of France speak of alleged hands found in burglars' kits or discarded after a botched robbery, its wicks still greasy with the unspeakable fuel. These anecdotes, whether true or embellished, cemented the legend's terrifying presence in the popular consciousness. By the 19th century, as interest in folklore, Gothic horror, and the occult surged, the Hand of Glory found new life in literature. Authors like Sir Walter Scott wove its eerie presence into his novel The Antiquary, embedding it within a dramatic narrative that highlighted its power to disorient and terrify. Later, master of the macabre, J. Sheridan Le Fanu, indirectly invoked its chilling essence in his ghost stories, relying on the reader's inherent dread of cursed artifacts and the unholy dead. These literary appearances helped to standardize the legend, popularizing its gruesome details and cementing its spooky fame far beyond its folkloric origins. Today, museums like the Whitby Museum in North Yorkshire famously display alleged hands of glory. While many are likely historical curiosities, perhaps made as mementos or elaborate fakes to cash in on morbid fascination, their presence continues to draw crowds, basically tourist bait with a grim wink, allowing visitors to glimpse a tangible piece of this dark myth. Pop culture, which is ever hungry for unsettling narratives, grabbed the Hand of Glory with both hands, literally. One of its most famous, albeit sanitized appearances is in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. The Hand of Glory is seen in Borgin & Burke's, a dark magic shop depicted as a magical artifact that gives light only to the holder. Rowling cleverly adapts its illuminating function into a tool for convenience, softening the more gruesome and paralyzing aspects for a younger audience. And this brief cameo introduced the legend to a massive new generation, sparking curiosity about its darker origins. In the horror genre, its cursed vibe echoes in various films. While not directly referencing the Hand of Glory, movies like The Evil Dead, with its focus on cursed artifacts made from human remains and their power to unleash terrifying forces, certainly taps into the same primal fears that fuel the Hand of Glory legend. The idea of a grotesque relic that opens doors to dark power is a recurring trope. Heavy metal and gothic music bands, like the iconic doom metal band Candlemass, have riffed on its darkness, using its name or imagery to evoke themes of death, power, and the occult. Even with modern occult circles and online communities, the Hand of Glory remains a topic of morbid fascination. Some contemporary occultists debate its theoretical potency, viewing it as a metaphor for accessing hidden inner power through confronting taboo, while others, more alarmingly, discuss the possibility of symbolically or even literally recreating it, which is a chilling thought. On platforms like YouTube, channels dedicated to folklore, unsolved mysteries, and esotericism, such as Esoteric Detective or Lore, regularly dissect its lore, pulling in millions of views from fans of the macabre and the historically bizarre. The Hand of Glory's enduring appeal isn't just about its shock value. It's because it taps into much older, universal human fears and mythologies. Its power of paralysis resonates with ancient dread of being utterly helpless in the face of an invisible threat. It recalls the Gorgon's petrifying gaze, turning victims to stone, or the chilling effects of various revenants and spirits in folklore, like the Norse Draugr, whose mere presence could induce a deathly chill or paralyzing fear in the living. The specific association with sleep paralysis, which actually happened to me, adds a layer of psychological horror as victims feel pinned down and unable to move. It's a bizarre feeling if you've never had sleep paralysis. My own personal experience is my wife was out. I was sleeping in bed. She was traveling for work, and out of nowhere, I just woke up and I couldn't move. I could move my eyes and I could almost turn my head left and right. But other than that, it was the most bizarre, and it felt like it took forever, but it was the most bizarre minute, maybe. But that moment of time really it unnerved me. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, I talked to my parents about it and said, hey, I don't know what the hell happened. And I generally don't talk about it, but I've brought it up in conversations before. But it was a bizarre thing. And I don't really know how to explain it other than I just woke up and it felt like someone was in the room with me. So moving on. With the Hand of Glory, there's also the illumination aspect, which mirrors various death lights or guiding lights in ancient myths, like the Slavic Savidovid, a dead man's light, a will-o'-the-wisp guiding the lost or leading travelers astray in marshlands. These lights often had a malevolent or uncanny quality, signifying a boundary crossed between the living and the dead. The Hand of Glory takes this concept and weaponizes it, turning a spectral phenomenon into a deliberate tool for transgression. Its deeply heretical edge, the defiling of corpses, a grave sin in most Abrahamic religions, also connects it to the darkest fears of medieval society. Such acts were precisely the kind of taboo practices that fueled accusations during the era of witch hunts, where any deviation from religious norms, especially those involving desecration, could lead to accusations of witchcraft and ultimately execution. The very existence of such a legend speaks to a profound anxiety about the sacredness of the human body, even in death and the terrifying consequences of violating that sanctity for unholy gain. What truly binds this gruesome legacy together is its grim allure, a symbol of death's dominion harnessed by human desperation or malice, daring us to peek into the darkest corners of human ingenuity and spiritual transgression. It's a testament to how deeply intertwined our fears of the supernatural are with our understanding of crime and punishment. So, what can we ultimately take away from the chilling legend of the Hand of Glory? At its heart, it's a grisly legend of dark magic, a hangman's hand transformed into a terrifying artifact for paralysis and illumination that was born from the deepest anxieties of medieval superstition and the brutal realities of gallows lore. Its conceptual roots in Roman magical rites, Germanic beliefs about the lingering power of the dead, and its mythic echoes and tales of paralyzing gazes and spectral lights paint a vivid picture of death's eerie, exploitable power. Its alleged use by desperate thieves and malevolent witches adds a rogue's twist, a dark mirror to the desperate circumstances or moral depravity that might drive someone to wield such a horrific tool. And its enduring legacy in literature, film, and contemporary pop culture ensures that the chill of this unholy relic continues to hold us in its grasp. No pun intended. As this macabre tale closes, the Hand of Glory leaves a cold, lingering grip on the imagination. It started with the very real horror of a hangman's curse, then grew into a tool of nightmarish theft and forbidden ritual, and now lingers as a cautionary shadow in our collective memory. Proof that death's desecrated relics can haunt far more than just the homes they sought to rob. It's a story of desperation and profound taboo, connecting us to those who feared, condemned, and perhaps even exploited the gallows' terrible edge. It serves as a stark reminder of the thin, terrifying line between magic and madness, superstition, and calculated malice. Like it if you like it, don't like it if you don't. It's all good with me. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. If you want more of this same stuff, let me know. Have a great day. See ya.